Well, recently I did an impressions video for the show about Sonic Forces, where I was pretty happy with the game and then promptly got accused on YouTube of being on the take from Sega for liking it so much. Now, there seems to be a disconnect between gamers and reviewers sometimes. There's an expectation that all reviews should be objective or at least consistent. I've got here Jason and Shane to discuss a subjective look at objective reviews. Can we actually be objective when we review a game?
I don't think there is such a thing as a 100% objective review.
I don't think that's possible.
No,
like
100%.
Okay.
Every moment of every day affects your bias somehow.
Yeah.
Whether you acknowledge it or not, you cannot 100%. We aren't robots. This isn't a pure fact that we're dealing with. You can't measure it in any meaningful way. You can, of course, have milestones, which you say this is what we consider good and what we consider bad. But I mean, how do you objectively rate a graphic style?
Well, you could graphic style is impossible. Same as maybe story. Maybe you could rate like the actual, pixel rate of an actual texture or like the actual game itself.
Yeah.
But even then, like half of it'll probably be your shitty TV.
Yes, yeah, and that is the hard part. Is there is no particular way to straight up say this is what. Like a good
game.
Like you can say what a good thing is, but you cannot say this is the perfect thing, and that's the hardest part of any objective quote unquote review.
Because there's no such thing as perfect.
Well, I mean, you talk about different parts of a game. So there's like some places try to give a score for 9 out of 10 for graphics, 8 out of 10 for sound, X out of 10 for gameplay, and so on. But even there, I mean, you look at the most popular game of all time. It's Minecraft, where the graphics aren't really that good.
But it's also not core to the experience. You don't gain anything by having. But then a lot of companies don't understand what made Minecraft so good, and so they make these like HD build-a-thons that are basically like Conan Worlds or whatever it's called and stuff like that.
They have all the small other things that they want to add there, like nudity, Steam. But
you see what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Is they literally missed the point of what made Minecraft.
In contention of that though, like Dragon Quest Builders, which hit where Minecraft was doing well and then added a few things themselves. That said, no multiplayer, which was a bit of a weakness. But
yeah, so it really is tough to. That's why we haven't done scores for a long time. I insisted on it. I find you can always rate things in relation to each other, but as far as rating the individual elements, I think it's unnecessary. Like a game needs to be treated as more than the sum of its parts, and to do it the injustice of stripping it down into parts.
It ruins the experience. The game is an experience. It's not just, these 5 core parts of the game.
Yeah.
Like, elements of a story connected to elements of like a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Them two together can make an experience for you that you will actually maybe enjoy. Maybe someone else won't enjoy.
And at the same time, I mean, this is where you can even bring in multiplayer communities. Multiplayer communities can wreck or make a game. Depending on what they do. So from that point of view, it is really tough to even objective. I just genuinely don't see how you can have pure objectivity in game reviews.
It's just,
and I don't think that's necessarily what people are asking for anyway.
I'm not sure. Like some people, I think are, and they're delusional.
Yes.
Are they really though asking just to be agreed with?
Yes.
I mean, there's an element of that on the internet, surely.
Yeah.
Just quickly on, you mentioned soundtrack and music, audio, sounds. They're very personal things, and a similar thing to that would be story. Like the story in a game, like as anybody who watches the show knows, I'm a massive Deus Ex fanboy, right? Because the story just connects with what I like, but it doesn't connect with everybody. So when you say this is a good game because of the soundtrack, which is a very personal experience, or the story, which to some people, the conspiracy-laden Deus Ex story is just not interesting, and to others it is. You can't even really then recommend it to somebody else unless they're pretty much you.
Yeah, that's the thing. When we're doing reviews, we're not reviewing for really anybody else except for ourselves. This is like 100% subjective, I'd say.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Maybe
but
not.
I don't think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're making something for yourself and not an audience, it's masturbation.
It's,
right. But basically, there is a trust.
Yeah.
There is a trust that you have with the audience that's watching you, that's engaging with you and what you're creating, that understands where you come from. And I think you need to be obvious with your biases.
Yeah.
Like, whenever someone from Blizzard makes some snide remark, I'm like, half the problems in the industry are your fault in the first place. So, you know what I mean? Like, and then they're doing like StarCraft ads where it's like, oh, now you're manly for doing it. It just infuriates me. But that's because I don't like Blizzard. So I will never review a Blizzard game because I cannot pretend for a second that I'm going to do that in any meaningful way that is going to offer any conversation outside of, I think Blizzard are trash.
And in like opposite of that, if give me a Falcom game, and I probably can't give it a bad review.
But you can also be realistic in its the rounds in the scheme of things anyway.
Now, you mentioned earlier that our show doesn't do numbers, which one of the downsides is we miss out on being on the front of box art.
We can't be on box art, yeah.
There's an implied pressure there, isn't there?
It's come up a few times where people have said, why don't you just do just for that? And I think a 5-star would work, but yeah, it's not high on my list.
Well, you've seen the meme of the Tornado app on iPhone where it says, you know, it's got 4 stars and all the stars say great interface, easy to use, and then there's a 1-star rating at the very bottom that says did not detect tornadoes.
Yeah.
So that's what you get with those reviews. Now, numbers though, especially, they'd be problematic. Like, we have a few reviewers on this show, but at a place like a Kotaku or IGN or Polygon or so on, whether they have other reasons for how they review things, their numbers would be very inconsistent between reviewers, wouldn't they? An 8 out of 9 or 10 out of 10.
But you need to accept that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you need the thing that gets to me is gaming has this annoying thing where it does like out of 100. Or it does like 8.7, which is still just 87 out of 100. If you break it down, it's 87 out of 100,
it's
right?
true.
So to go into that level of minutia to rank it, so it must be something our audience craves. Because Margaret and David will just do like 5 stars, or thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, that's a movie thing even. That's always been stars.
And of course, because the stars don't necessarily rate the quality; it rates the experience that the reviewer or the critic had with the movie.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily even a discussion about the quality of the movie itself. It's what the movie made the reviewer feel.
Like, yeah.
And I think that is a 100% valid reason. But you cannot get away with that in gaming, and I just do not understand why.
That's the thing. Like, that should be the main part of reviewing. Like, it's about the experience. It's always about the experience. A game is multimedia. Multimedia is always going to be about how they impact you as a person.
And mesh those mediums together.
Like, sure, there's always the gameplay. There's always going to be, like, some sort of soundtrack, probably. There's always going to be visuals. There's always going to be those things. But all of those things come together and make something that actually, like, affects you in some way, makes you feel something, even if it is nothing.
But everybody gets affected differently, as I said before about music and story. But another key thing, like I'm a dad, you guys aren't, so I got kids that play games as well.
Yeah, thank God.
Don't rush. But the thing is, playing a lot of games with kids, they do seem to me to be reviewed from the perspective of a 20-something with no children often. So how you review Wolfenstein, right, and how you review a Sonic game, which is clearly for a younger audience. I mean, even there, like as your phrase goes, you're not the target audience for the games you review sometimes.
And I think that is where, again, it goes back to that trust idea. It goes back to the idea of Shaney, while is a Falcom fanboy, and you are.
It's true. It's true.
But you've played enough other RPGs. You know what you like from that system, and you know why Falcom works in that.
Yeah.
You have that framework of experience, that framework of reference that you can say, this is why this worked. This is why this didn't work. This is what I liked about this in comparison even to other Falcom games.
Yeah.
That is what a good critique is. I used to get. Here's an example I can think of off the top of my head. I used to get email all the time, like blah blah blah. I would say like blah blah blah. I like this about Halo 3. I just get an email, Halo sucks. So I just say, you're a fuckwit. That would be my reply, right? 100% that would be my reply because that is exactly the amount of thought that they've put into their critique. However, I had one person discuss once, they sent me this like 2-page email discussing, do I worry about the effects of violence on people in the thing? Do I think there's a And I sent them a 2-pager back because they'd obviously put enough thought into their critique of what I was discussing that I felt the thing. So I will give anyone as much energy and effort as they give me. And I think if you're not coming into this, like, it's like when people say, oh, Sonic sucks. It's like, why? Give me reasons why Sonic sucks. 9 times out of 10, they're like, it's just a meme, dude. It's like, yeah, because you've got no opinion of your own because you're a piece of trash. Like, and it's exactly how my thought process goes.
Well, there goes their monetization.
Yeah.
But look, it's pretty clear that there are a lot of aspects that come into how we review a game. And there is a lot of personal preference. And we're not going to escape that, I think it's fair to say. Because, yes, as we said, every game is different to every person.
Yeah.
So we don't do numbers on New Game Plus, and that's for a reason, because Minecraft to an 8-year-old child is a 10 out of 10, but it's not a 10 out of 10 to someone who's 30-something and
I
playing
still can't
Wolfenstein.
play it. I just don't get it.
So really, scores, they're great for box art, and that helps promote the outlet. There's a reason why we don't do scores. I think it comes down to whether the game's fun or not. But even then, fun at different ages is a different thing. Fun for men and women, they prefer different games often. So what they consider fun is different. So we're probably never going to get to an objective 100% scale to say we can compare game A versus game B between different genres, different reviewers, and come up with a consistent result. And that's just probably something that gamers probably need to come to terms with at some point. But watching New Game Plus, we don't give scores. We'll just tell you if games are fun or not.